Hello everyone, I hope all of you are doing good, and today I am here with a crash course video on class 11 maths trigonometric functions. Now this video has been specifically created for all my dear English speaking students, and the Hindi version of this video have already been uploaded. The link is given in the description section. So if you want, you can take a look at the Hindi video as well. Okay, so what are we going to learn in trigonometric functions? So we have already learned about trigonometry in our previous classes. Now what different are we going to do in this video is, we are going to learn about the same trigonometric ratios but in the form of functions. And what are functions? That we already covered in the previous video. The link is given here. Okay, so what's trigonometry? Tri means three. Trigon means a triangle with three sides. Metry means measurement. So whenever we deal with measurement related to triangles, we call it trigonometry. Now, the moment we talk about triangles, what comes into picture? The three sides and the three angles. Now, what is an angle? We all know what is an angle because we have been studying about them since our junior classes, but it is important that the concept of angle is crystal clear. So what's angle? Let us suppose we have a side like this and it starts rotating about a fixed point here. So it makes an angle. Now if it rotates less, the angle is small. If it rotates more, the angle is big. In an angle, we talk about three important things. One is the initial side where it was initially. Second is the terminal side where it went after rotation, and third is this fixed point which is called the vertex. So we have three things: initial side, terminal side or final side, and vertex. Now we also see that measurement of angle is very critical because if it rotates less, the angle is small. If it rotates more, the angle is large. So measuring it is very critical. And how do we measure it? In order to measure it, we need a unit. Just like measuring everything else. If I go to the shop to buy potatoes, I need to tell the shopkeeper that I want 10 kg of potatoes. So kg is a unit. If I feel feverish and I want to measure my body temperature, I need a unit to measure it. I measure my body temperature either in degree Celsius or degree Fahrenheit, and they are units to measure temperature. In a similar way, in order to measure angles, we need units. And there are two units to measure angles: degree measure and radian measure. So let us take a look at both of them. So let's start with degree measure. Let's suppose this pen is lying here and is super duper bored being at the same place and it wants to move around. Okay, so go ahead. Who is stopping you? So the pen starts to rotate, and in this way, it completes one complete rotation. Now, whenever it completes one round, that is one rotation, we say that the degree, the angle covered is 360 degrees. So that basically means that one rotation is 360 degree. Now, if I ask you to define degree, what is degree? What is it? So 1 degree is actually 1 by 360th of a rotation. Quite simple, isn't it? Think of a clock. So you must have noticed the minute hand of the clock, which keeps making rounds and rounds and tell us the time. Now the way in a clock you see that 1 hour is 60 minutes. Again, 1 minute is 60 seconds. In a very similar way, when we talk about angles, we say that 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes, and we denote minutes somewhat like this. Further, 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds, which is denoted like this. So that was the concept of degree measure. So let us take some examples of degrees, try to draw them and get better clarity on the concept. Let us draw a few angles and get more clarity on degree measure. See here, the first angle that we have is 360 degree. So let us suppose if this is your initial ray. So we start from this point, which is the fixed point from where about which this entire ray would move or rotate. So now it moves 360 degree. Now whenever we talk about positive angles, here you must be noticing that all of these are positive values. So positive angles, and these are negative values. So this is negative angle. Now whenever we have a positive angle, we will always move anti-clockwise. And if it is a negative angle, then we will move clockwise. So that's our logic. Now when it comes to 360 degree, we start about this point. 360 degree is like one complete rotation. So this is how 360 degree would look like. So basically the initial ray and the final ray would overlap with each other. Yeah. Now let's talk about the next one, that is 180 degree. So let us suppose this is the initial ray. So it starts about this point like this. So half of 360 degree, that means half a rotation. So therefore after rotating by 180 degree, it will be like just on the opposite side. So this is the initial ray and this one is the final ray. They are like exactly opposite to each other in direction. Then comes 270 degree. So if this is the initial ray, 270 degree would actually mean somewhere here. So that means if you join it like this, so this angle is 270 degree. So you see, for all the positive angles, we are going anti-clockwise, right? Then the next is 400 degree. So if this is the initial ray, you start about this point. So till here is 360. But even after 360, you need to go for another 40 degree. So let's say another 40 degrees here. So that would be 400 degrees. So it's like one total rotation and then 40 degrees again. So that would be our 360 degree. So that would be 400 degrees. Now let us talk about some negative angles like minus 30 degree. So if this is the initial ray, so by 30 degree, this is negative. So this will go in the clockwise direction. So till now we were rotating like this, anti-clockwise, but now we will rotate like this side. So this side 30 degree. So let us suppose if this is 30 degree, so then this becomes minus 30 degree. Right? Similarly, minus 420 degree, what would it be? So it will start from this point, but now it will move like this. So this is one complete rotation, so minus 360 degree. But even after that, it has to go for another 60 degree. So let's say it is somewhere here, and then this becomes minus 420 degree. Okay, so in this fashion, we can draw many different angles, and this gives us a complete clarity on degree measure. So we understood what is degree measure. Now it's turn for radian measure. Now whenever we talk about the angle in terms of radian, we talk about it in terms of arc length. Now you must be wondering, how come arc comes into picture? Just think of it like this. Whenever we are talking about an angle like this, we see that there is also an arc involved. The angle is less, the arc length is less. The angle is more, the arc length is also more, isn't it? So think of a circle, and let's assume that the angle subtended at the center is the angle that we are talking about. So if the arc is more, the angle is more. If the arc is less, the angle is less. Clear, right? So how do we define this angle? We say that angle, that is theta, is equal to L by R, where L is the arc length and R is the radius of the circle. Clear? Now you must be thinking that okay, that's fine. But just now you told that in one complete rotation, it makes 360 degrees. So how many radians does it make in one complete rotation? Well, in one complete rotation, it covers 2 pi radians. So we can say that 2 pi radians is equivalent to 360 degrees. This also tells us that there is a relationship between radian measure and degree measure, which means that if we are given an angle in degree, we can convert it into radian. If we are given an angle in radian, we can convert it into degree. But how? With this relationship, radian measure is equal to pi by 180 into degree measure. From where did we get this pi by 180? That's your next question. So just now I told you that 2 pi radian is equal to or equivalent to 360 degree, which means pi radian is equivalent to 180 degree, right? Which means that pi by 180 is basically radian measure by degree measure. And from there we get this formula. It's very simple. So now we'll look at some examples and questions and ace the concept of degree and radian. What if we have to convert 60 degree to radian? So how will we do that? Very simple. We will just make use of this formula and we'll see what is given and what we need to find out. So 60 degree is given. That means degree measure is given. So radian measure will be equal to pi by 180 into 60 degree. So that would be equal to pi by 3. So that's the radian measure. Similarly, convert pi into degree. So here the radian measure is given. That means pi is equal to pi by 180 into degree measure. So therefore in this case the degree measure will be equal to pi into 180 divided by pi. So pi and pi will cancel. So the degree measure will be equal to 180 degree. So very simple. If you remember this relationship, you can convert any measure to other one, as in radian to degree or degree to radian. Let's look at one more question. Convert 50 degree 20 minutes into radian measure. So the only complex part in this question is we not only have degree, we also have involvement of minutes. So how do we handle minutes? Okay, so what we'll do is our whole idea would be to convert this entire thing, that is 50 degree 20 minutes, into degrees. Okay, and how will we do that? We already know that 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes, which means that 1 minute is equal to 1 by 60 degree, right? Therefore, 20 minutes would mean 1 by 60 into 20, that is equal to 1 by 3 degree. Fine. So now what is the total value of this degree that we need to convert? So that is equal to 51 by 3 degree, which is equal to 151 by 3 degree. So this is our degree measure, and now we have to convert it into radian measure. So we know the relationship. Radian measure is equal to pi by 180 into degree measure, that is 151 by 3. So this becomes equal to 151 pi divided by 540 radians. And that's our answer. So the only tricky part was to convert this entire thing into degree. So that was the only tricky part. Let's look at one more question. The minute hand of a watch is 2 centimeters long. How far does its tip move in 50 minutes? Okay. So now let us suppose that this is the minute hand of the clock. Okay. Now how much does it move in 50 minutes? Okay, so in 60 minutes it completes one rotation. So in 50 minutes it will complete less than one rotation, right? So let us find it out. So in 60 minutes, what is the angle that it covers? Since it covers one complete rotation, so the angle covered is 2 pi, that is 360 degree. So therefore in 50 minutes, what is the angle that it will cover? It will cover 2 pi by 60 into 50. And that is equal to 5 pi by 3. Okay. So now let us suppose that we have to find out this particular angle, right? Because in 50 minutes, if we assume that it will cover this much distance, so what is going to be this angle? So we can say that theta, that is the angle subtended at the center, if we call this theta, this will be equal to this entire length of the arc divided by radius. So theta is equal to L by R. Now in the question it says how far does its tip move? So basically the question is asking us to calculate the value of this L, that is length of the arc. That only we have to calculate. So L is equal to R into theta. What is R? R is radius, which is nothing but the length of the minute hand, which is given as 2 centimeters into theta. And how much is theta? Theta is equal to 5 pi by 3, because here it clearly shows that in 50 minutes it will cover 5 pi by 3 angle. So that means theta is 5 pi by 3. So this becomes equal to 10 pi by 3 centimeter. Great. So I hope that we are all good so far. You with me? Yes. So now let's start with trigonometric ratios. Now in our previous classes, we have already learnt about them in terms of right angle triangle. So we learned that if we have a right angle triangle, then knowing the perpendicular, base and hypotenuse, we can tell about the different, or we can measure the different trigonometric ratios like sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, etc. So we are going to spend not more than 5 minutes to do a very quick recap on trigonometric ratios and their values. So if we have a right angle triangle, so we know that in a right angle triangle, the angle opposite to the 90-degree angle is the hypotenuse, this one is the base and this is the perpendicular. Right, so this is something which we know. Now how we used to calculate the values of trigonometric ratios, somewhat like this, for which we used a mantra, Pandit Badri Prasad Hare Hare Bol. So Pandit Badri Prasad, that is PBP, Hare Hare Bol, that is HHB. So P by H, that is perpendicular by hypotenuse, that is sine theta, if we assume that this angle is theta. B by H, that is base by hypotenuse, is cos theta. And P by B, that is perpendicular by base, that is tan theta. Right, so this is how we define these three trigonometric ratios. Now we also know that sine theta is equal to 1 by cosec theta. Therefore, cosec theta is equal to h by p. Similarly, cos theta, 1 by cos theta is equal to sec theta. So, sec theta will be equal to h by b. And cot theta is 1 by tan theta. So, 1 by tan theta is equal to cot theta. Therefore, cot theta will be equal to b by p. So in this fashion, we define all the 6 trigonometric ratios. In our previous classes, we also learned that how the values of these trigonometric ratios change as the value of theta changes from 0 to 90 degrees. Right? So therefore, you can see that for different values of theta like 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree and 90 degree, we have jotted down the values of sine theta, cos theta, tan theta. So if you know these three, sine, cos and tan, then the remaining three are very simple because they are just reciprocal of these given trigonometric ratios, right? And here also it's a very interesting memory thing. So if you remember the sine theta key values like 0, 1 by 2, 1 by root 2, root 3 by 2, 1. So cos theta is exactly the reverse of it, as in if you from right hand side if you see, so it is 0, 1 by 2, 1 by root 2, root 3 by 2, 1, which is exactly the same as sine theta. So if you remember sine theta and tan theta, that's it, you are done. The rest of them can be calculated based on sine theta and tan theta values. Clear so far? Okay. Now the question is, what happens to the values of these trigonometric functions for theta greater than 90 degree? What would be the value of sine, say 125 degree or sine 100 degree? So how will we calculate for those thetas? So now in order to address that problem, as in if we have to find out the sine of any angle, whether it is 180 degree or it is 270 or it is 300 degree, so how do we find that value? So for that we have a different mantra, which is add sugar to coffee. Now what is that? So for this we use this concept of a unit circle. In fact, we use this concept of quadrants. Okay, so what we do, we divide it into 4 quadrants. This is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and this is the fourth quadrant. Okay, so first quadrant essentially means value of theta would be between 0 to 90. Second quadrant 90 to 180, third is 180 to 270, and fourth is 270 to 360. So basically one complete rotation, which is 360 degree, has been divided into 4 equal quadrants, right? Now what we noticed is, in the previous slide we saw that in our junior classes we have already learnt about the values between 0 to 90. That means we only learnt about the first quadrant values of theta. What about second, third and fourth? So here, using this particular convention or using this particular mantra, we will only talk about the sine of cos, sine and tan theta. As in, if I ask you, what will be cos of, say, 130 degree? Will it be a positive value or a negative value? Because we all know that cos, the value of cos theta is positive for some values of theta, negative for some values of theta. Similarly for sine theta, tan theta and other trigonometric functions. So here we will first talk about the sine, only the sine. Okay. Now add sugar to coffee. That actually means all sine, tan, cos. That means in the first quadrant, all the trigonometric functions are positive. All values will be positive. Whether it is sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, cosec theta, cot theta, everything will be positive. The moment we move to the second quadrant, only sine theta will be positive, others will be negative. Now, when I say sine theta positive, since sine theta is positive, therefore cosec theta, which is 1 by sine theta, will also be positive. But besides them, all the other 4 trigonometric ratios will be negative. If we look at the third quadrant, only tan theta will be positive, which means that cot theta would also be positive. Besides that, everything else will be negative. Finally, the fourth quadrant, only cos will be positive, everything else negative. Now, how do we remember this? For that, we use this mantra. Add sugar to coffee. That is all sine, tan, cos. Now we will quickly look at few examples and we will see, are we able to apply this mantra really well with different values of theta or not. Great. So now we will make use of this mantra and we'll try out a few questions just to check whether you got the mantra right or not. So tell me, what is going to be the sign of cos 240 degrees? Cos 240 degree, positive or negative? Positive, negative. Think fast. So 240 degree will be lying in which quadrant? It will be in the third quadrant. And what we learned? We learned add sugar to coffee. In the third quadrant, the only trigonometric function which is positive is tan theta. And we are asking about cos theta. So this is going to be negative. So cos 240 degree will be negative. Let's talk about the next one. Tan 120 degree. Again, fast, think about it. 120 degree, it will lie in the second quadrant. So add sugar to coffee. Second quadrant, the only function which is positive is sine theta. And we are asking about tan theta. So this is again going to be negative. So tan 120 degree will be negative. All negatives, board of all negatives. Okay, let's try the third one. Cos 178 degree. Where will be 178? So 178 will again be in the second quadrant. And our mantra says add sugar to coffee. So the second quadrant again is sine theta. So cos of 178 degrees again going to be negative. Okay, fine. So this is going to be the last one, last exercise. Sine 110 degrees. So 110 degrees again in the second quadrant. And all add sugar to coffee. So second quadrant sine theta is positive. So sine 110 degree will be positive. So I told you that here we are going to talk about the trigonometric ratios in terms of functions. And if we are talking about functions, then it is very important that we know the domain and range of these functions. Now, what's a domain and what's a range? We have already learnt about it in the video on functions. So domain is all permissible input values, all input values that are allowed for that function. Similarly, range, permissible outputs, all output values that are allowed as per the behavior of that function. So now our agenda is to talk about all of these 6 trigonometric functions and understand what is their domain, range, and if there are any specific pattern in that function. So let's start with the most popular trigonometric function. Well, jokes apart, we'll start with sine theta, that is sine x. So let us look at the graph of sine x. So it's the popular wavy graph, isn't it? Now looking at this graph itself, we can tell what will be the domain, what will be the range, and what's the pattern of this function. Let's start with domain. That's the input values. So if you look at this function, in terms of input values, any real number could be an input. Because when I talk about sine x, x can take any value that's real number. So we can say that domain is a set of all real numbers. If you talk about the range, that's the output values. You see that it cannot take any output value, because when you look at this graph, so output value is shown on the y-axis, right? So y-axis values are limited between -1 to +1. So you do not have a value of y beyond +1. You do not have a value of y below -1. So that means the range is -1 to +1, where -1 and +1 are included. So will this be an open interval or a closed interval? Fast! We have discussed this in one of our previous lessons. So this is going to be a closed interval, because here we are saying that x can also take the value -1, x can also take the value +1. So -1 and +1, which are the two boundaries, they are included. That means it's like a window. It's the third bracket, that's closed interval. Now let's talk about the pattern. Do you notice any specific pattern in this plot? So we see that this entire graph is of a particular pattern, and if we observe it more clearly, we would see that this pattern, this wave pattern is getting repeated again and again, which actually means that after every 2 pi interval, the same values are getting repeated, and that is why the same pattern is getting repeated. So we say that sin x repeats its values after every interval of 2 pi. Let's talk about the next trigonometric function, that is cos theta or cos x. So this is how the graph looks. Now you must be thinking that okay, this is also a wavy graph very similar to sin theta. Is it exactly the same as sin theta? Not really, because the values are not the same. So if you want to note the difference, you may see that in case of the sin theta graph, the value, the graph was at 0 at x is equal to 0. But in case of cos theta, if you see, the value of y is 1 when x is equal to 0. So it's like both the shapes are the same, but the exact pattern is not the same, right? So we will see why this similarity and why this difference as well. So first let's talk about the domain. So domain here again will be all real numbers, so set of all real numbers, because we see on the x-axis it could be any value. We talk about range, only the output values, which is again limited between -1 and +1. So this is again going to be a closed interval of -1, +1. Now if we look at the pattern, what is the special thing about the pattern? Here also we see that the pattern from 0 to 2 pi, this pattern is getting repeated after every 2 pi. That means cos theta also repeats its values after every 2 pi intervals. So we notice that the domain, range and the pattern are very similar for sin x and cos x, and that is why we see that the shape of the graph is also very similar. If we talk about cosec x, what is cosec x? Cosec x is 1 by sin x. So now looking at this function, we can say that if we have to talk about domain, that is the input values. So here all values would be possible input values except those values where sin x is 0, because sin x 0 means cosec x will be 1 by 0, which is not defined. So we cannot have a not defined input value, right? Therefore we say the domain is all real numbers except n is equal to n pi. That means x should not be equal to n pi. Why n pi? Because for n pi values of theta, sin x is equal to 0. So if you look at the sine curve, you would see that the value of sine pi, 2 pi, sine 3 pi, sine 4 pi is equal to 0. So all such values of x's are not allowed in the domain. Clear? What about the range? So if you look at the graph, you can see that the output values are like all values except these values, because you see it starts from 1 and all the values are above 1. Similarly, all the values on the negative side are below -1. So we really do not have any output values between -1 to +1. So we can say that range is all real numbers such that range is greater than equal to 1 or less than equal to -1. So there will be nothing between -1 to 1. Besides that, all other real numbers could be a permissible output. And if we talk about the pattern, we notice that from 0 to 2 pi, we notice a pattern like this. And again that same pattern, this pattern keeps repeating after every 2 pi interval. So we say that its values repeats after 2 pi intervals, right? So that's about cosec x. Now moving ahead, we'll talk about sec x. So what is sec x? So sec x is actually 1 by cos x. So therefore here the permissible inputs, that is domain, would be all values of x except those values for which cos x is equal to 0. And what are the values for which cos x is equal to 0? 2n plus 1 pi by 2. That's why you would have noticed that cos 90 degree, that is cos pi by 2, is equal to 0. Right? Similarly, cos 3 pi by 2 is also equal to 0. Cos 5 pi by 2 is equal to 0. So except for those values of x, it includes all other real numbers. What about the range? So if you look at the range, you would see that again, -1 to +1, no output values are there. Therefore, here again, y belongs to real numbers such that y is less than equal to -1 or y is greater than equal to 1. And what's the pattern? So if you closely observe from 0 to 2 pi, you would notice a pattern like this. And this pattern keeps repeating like this. Correct? So therefore we see that it repeats its pattern after every 2 pi intervals. Now is the turn of tan x. Now what is tan x? Tan x is defined as sin x by cos x. So here we see that if the value of cos x is equal to 0, then the input value of tan x will be equal to not defined. So therefore in this case, the domain could be any value of x except those values for which cos x is equal to 0. Now you may ask why those values for which sin x is equal to 0 are allowed. That's because even if sin x is equal to 0, this entire value of tan x becomes 0. It is not defined, right? So therefore we only focus on the denominator, because only when the denominator is 0, the overall value of that ratio becomes not defined. So here we can say that x belongs to all real numbers such that x is not equal to 2n plus 1 pi by 2, because for these values of x, cos x is equal to 0. What about the range? Now here if you look at the range, it is all values of real numbers. So set of all real numbers. And what's the pattern? So if you look at it, this particular pattern keeps repeating. So this and this, again this and this. So this particular pattern keeps repeating, right? So, and it repeats after how much interval of time? After every pi intervals of time. In a similar way, the last function, that is cot x. So we all know that cot x is equal to 1 by tan x, or we can say cos x by sin x. So for this, the domain would be all values of x except those values for which sin x is equal to 0. And sin x is equal to 0 for n pi. Therefore, x should not be equal to n pi. Range will be all real numbers, because you see the pattern here is very similar to tan theta. Slightly different, but otherwise the shape is little similar to tan theta. This also repeats after every pi intervals of time. So if you look at this pattern, it keeps repeating after every pi intervals. So what did we learn from this exercise? So we learned that sin theta repeats its values after every 2 pi interval. Cos theta repeats its values after every 2 pi intervals. Tan theta repeats its values after every pi intervals. Now, if we know the behavior of sin theta, cos theta and tan theta, that's good enough, because we know that the remaining 3 trigonometric functions, they are just the reciprocal of these functions, as in 1 by sin theta is cosec theta, 1 by cos theta is sec theta, and 1 by tan theta is cot theta. So they would also behave the same way. Let's look at few questions. Question number 1. If cos x is equal to -3 by 5, x lies in the third quadrant, find the values of other 5 trigonometric functions. Okay, so we will start from the simplest one to calculate. So if we know what is cos x, it's very simple to calculate sec x, because sec x is equal to 1 by cos x, right? So sec x will be equal to -5 by 3. Great. Now what is the next thing that we can very easily calculate if we know cos x? that is sin x, because we know that sin square x plus cos square x is equal to 1. That means sin square x is equal to 1 minus cos square x, which is equal to 1 minus 9 by 25, because 3 by 5 ka whole square is 9 by 25. So this is equal to 16 by 25. So sin x will be equal to root over 16 by 25, which is equal to plus minus 4 by 5. So now here we reached at a confusion. So whether sin x will be plus 4 by 5 or it will be minus 4 by 5. Now that gets decided with the quadrant where it lies. Now it says that x lies in the third quadrant. So let us quickly use our mantra. It says add sugar to coffee. So in the third quadrant only tan theta is positive. So, but we are talking about sin theta. So sin theta should be negative in third quadrant. Therefore sin x will be equal to minus 4 by 5. Now once we know sin x, very easily we can write down cosec x, which is equal to 1 by sin x. So this will be equal to minus 5 by 4. Right? Now let's calculate tan x. So tan x will be sin x by cos x. So sin x is calculated as minus 4 by 5 and cos x is given as minus 3 by 5. So minus minus will get cancelled, 5 will get cancelled. So tan x will be equal to 4 by 3. Therefore cot x will be equal to 3 by 4. So that's how we have calculated all the 5 trigonometric functions. Let's look at another question. Find the value of cot minus 15 pi by 4. Okay. Now, what we have learned just now is for tan and cot, tan theta and cot theta, they repeat their values after every interval of pi. So here this is cot x. So cot x repeats values after an interval of pi. That means cot pi plus x is equal to cot x. So this is something that we have learned some time back. So we have to find out how can we write minus 15 by 4 pi in the form of minus 15 by 4 pi plus n pi. Right? Because pi plus x, cot of pi plus x is equal to cot x, cot of 2 pi plus x is equal to cot x, cot of 3 pi plus x is equal to cot x, because after every pi interval, the value of cot theta is going to be the same. So let us see how can we write this in that form. Now let's say, now how do we decide that? So we have minus 15 by 4 pi and we want to add some n pi to it. So an option is we add 2 pi. So if we add 2 pi, what is the result that we will get when we actually, add these two? So if this is 2 pi, so what will happen? You'll take 4 as LCM. So this will be minus 15 plus 8. So that will be like minus 7 by 4 pi. But do we know the value of cot minus 7 by 4 pi? No, we don't. So 2 pi doesn't help because we want to use n pi in such a way that our calculation becomes very simple, right? What if we add 3 pi? So if here we have 3 pi, then also our calculation is not simple in any ways. But if we add 4 pi here, then what happens? We see that if you take 4 as LCM, this will be minus 15 pi plus 16 pi. That actually means here we will get pi by 4. And we know the value of pi by 4. So cot pi by 4 is equal to 1. So we calculated the value of cot minus 15 by 4 pi. So what was the trick here? The trick here was to write this minus 15 by 4 pi in the form of minus 15 by 4 pi plus n pi. So that was the whole idea. And what would be the value of this n? That is actually done by a little bit of hit and trial method. That what is that value of n if we put that so that our calculation becomes very simple. So I would advise you to practice a few questions of this type so that you get more used to with how do you select that value of n. Let's look at another question. Find the value of cosec minus 1410 degree. Now again, if we speak about cosec function, so we know that cosec function repeats after every 2 pi intervals. Why? Because cosec theta is 1 by sine theta, and sine theta repeats after every 2 pi interval. So we can say that cosec x is equal to cosec 2 pi plus x. Right? Now let's see how can we write this. Therefore, cosec minus 1410 degree should be written as cosec of minus 1410 degree plus 2n pi. Right? So pi is basically 180 degree, but 2 pi is 360 degree. Right? So we want to write it as n into 2 pi. Because in case of cot theta, we were trying to write it in the form of n pi. But now we want to write it in the form of 2n pi, or we can say n into 2 pi. So 2 pi is 360 degree. Now what will be the value of this n? So n should be something so that when these two are added, we get a value for which we know the value of cosec theta. Basically, we need a value which is less than 90 degree. Because from 0 to 90 degree, we precisely know the values. Right? So that's our whole idea. So if it is 1, so then it will be minus 1410 plus 360 degree. So that will be like a big value. If it is 2, so this becomes 720 degree, but minus 1410 into 720, that also is a big value. If it is 3, then this becomes 1180, but minus 1410 plus 1180 is also a big value. What if it is 4? If it is 4, then this becomes 1440 and this is 1410, so the difference is 30 degree. So in that case, we see that this becomes cosec 30 degree, and cosec 30 degree is equal to 2. So the only trick here is this hit and trial method, which we need to use to find out the right value of n. Okay, so far we learned that if we have to find out the value of a sine theta, cos theta or a tan theta, we can very easily tell about the sign of the function, because we got that trip of add sugar to coffee. But what happens to the value? What will be the exact value of that function? So if I ask you what is sine 230 degree, so you may tell me whether it will be positive or negative based on which quadrant it lies. But what will be the exact value of sine 230 degree? How will we calculate that? So for that purpose, now we are going to talk about many different categories of trigonometric functions which will help you to evaluate values of different trigonometric functions. So we will start our discussion with the negative functions. So if I ask you, sine of minus theta will be plus sine theta or minus sine theta? You may get confused, isn't it? So let us see how do we deal with these negative functions. Now I am going to share a trick with you, and that trick will help you to remember all the negative functions without even any need to memorize them. Yeah. So when I say minus x or minus theta, that means I am talking about a negative angle. We already learned that if we talk about a positive angle, we always go in the anti-clockwise direction. But if we talk about a negative angle, we always go in the clockwise direction. Now let us suppose this is our baseline. So if we have to go in the clockwise direction, we will go downwards. That means this minus x will lie somewhere in the fourth quadrant. Now what happens in the fourth quadrant? Add sugar to coffee. So in the fourth quadrant, only cos theta is positive, others are negative. And therefore, cos of minus x is plus cos x. And since sec theta is 1 by cos theta, therefore sec of minus x is also plus sec x. Besides this, all other functions will be negative. For example, sine of minus x will be minus sine x, tan of minus x will be minus tan x, cosec of minus x will be minus cosec x, cot of minus x will be minus cot x. Wasn't that simple? You never need to get confused. Just remember, what is minus x? Which quadrant will it lie? It will lie in the fourth quadrant. Therefore, only cos and sec will be positive, everything else negative. Let us now talk about the second category of functions, where we talk about functions like pi by 2 plus x, pi by 2 minus x, and this is also where we talk about the concept of co-function. Now you would notice that if I ask you what is sine pi by 2 minus x, now surprisingly this time it is not a sine function at all. The result is a cos function. So it's like the entire function got changed. Sine became cos. Similarly, if I ask you cos of pi by 2 minus x, cos changes to sine. It becomes sine x. And this is where we talk about cofunctions. Now, out of these 6 trigonometry functions, two functions in pair form a cofunction. So, sine and cos, they are cofunction. Tan and cot, they are one pair. Sec and cosec, they are one pair. And what do we mean by these pairs? We basically mean that sine pi by 2 minus x is cos x. Similarly, cos pi by 2 minus x is sin x. And we say that cos is a cofunction of sine. In a similar way, it's true for all the 3 pairs. In fact, it's very easy for you to remember because the names that they have got is from this concept of cofunction. What is cos? Cos is cosine, that is cofunction of sine. What is cot? Cotan, that is cofunction of tan. What is cosec? Cosec, that is cofunction of sec theta. Right? Simple. Now the next question is, okay, fine, so I got this, that sine will become cos, cos will become sine, tan will become cot, cot will become tan, whenever we talk about pi by 2 minus x or pi by 2 plus x. But the question is, what happens to the sine? Let's take a look. So if you look at all of these pi by 2 minus x functions, you see that they all, using our trick, they all lie in the first quadrant. That is this quadrant, and in this quadrant all values of theta are positive. Therefore here you see everything is positive. Sin pi by 2 minus x is also positive sin theta. Sin pi by 2 minus x is also positive cos theta. Tan pi by 2 minus x is also positive cot theta, and cot pi by 2 minus x is also positive tan theta. Everything is positive. Right? Now the moment we talk about pi by 2 plus x, that means pi by 2 is 90 plus x. So we are moving to the second quadrant, and in second quadrant only sin theta is positive, rest of them are negative. So here you see when we are talking about cos of theta, it is negative. We are talking about tan of theta, it is negative. Cot of theta, it is negative. But sin of pi by 2 plus x is positive. Right? And now since sin theta is positive, so cosec theta will also be positive because cosec theta is equal to 1 by sin theta. Let us now talk about the third category of function where we will talk about pi plus x or pi minus x pattern of functions. Now in this case, the function will not change. For example, if it is a sin pi minus x, it will remain sin x. It will not become cos x. So the function will not change, but there will be a change in sign. How? Let's take a look. So here if we look at the pi minus x function, so as I said, pi minus x, that means something lesser than pi. So we are talking about the second quadrant. In second quadrant only sin theta is positive. Therefore you see sin of pi minus x is positive. Other than that, the rest of them, cos is negative, tan is also negative. Very simple to remember, isn't it? On the other hand, when we talk about pi plus x, so pi plus x, that means it is in the third quadrant, and in third quadrant only tan theta is positive, and here you see tan pi plus x is positive, but others like sin and cos, they are negative. Let's now talk about the fourth category, a slightly complicated category where we actually take care of x plus y, x minus y functions, as in what will be sin x plus y or sin x minus y or cos x plus y or tan x plus y. So we deal with these type of functions. Now for these we have these formulae. Now we are not doing any derivations in this video because this is a crash course video. If you are looking for detailed derivations of each of the formulae, you can refer to the link which is given in the description section where we have given the detailed videos links. Okay, in fact in those detailed videos we have also solved many more questions, so you can refer them as well. Great. So now sin x plus y is sin x cos y plus cos x sin y. Now here is the problem. Now the sin x plus y, cos x plus y, all these formulae are so similar because they just deal with sin cos, somewhere it is plus, somewhere it is minus. It's very difficult to remember. So what do we do? Because it is also very important to remember these, because when we solve these different trigonometric identities and questions, they need to be at our fingertips. So here I'll share with you one memory tip that will help you to remember this the best possible way. Let's see. So it's like a story. The memory tip is like a story. So cos is the boss who has all the power, who feels that he can do everything. Sine is the son, the little son who feels that he might not be able to do everything and he always wants to be with the boss. So with this son and boss story, we will create a great memory tip. Now let us look at the first formula, which is sine x plus y. Now when you ask sine x plus y, it's about the son. And as I said, the son is always less confident and he always wants to be with the boss. So the formula would be sine x cos y, because sine wants to be with cos, plus cos x sine y. So you see, in both the terms you have a combo of sine cos, because sine and cos wants to be together. Let's now talk about the second formula, which is cos x plus y. Now cos being the boss, he feels that he doesn't need the son at all and he can do everything himself. So the formula is cos x cos y, because he doesn't need the son, minus, because he totally ignores whatever the son does. Therefore you have minus sine x sine y. Simple, isn't it? So just remember this as a story, that boss is cos, who always ignores the son, can do it himself. Sine is son, who is always dependent on the boss and wants to be with him. Now, if you are able to remember these two formula, the other two formula becomes very simple. So if it is sine x minus y, the formula is going to be the same, just that the plus sign is replaced with a minus sign. So it becomes sine x cos y minus cos x sine y. Similarly for cos x minus y. So sine and cos formula is done. What about tan x? So if you look at the formula of tan x, it is a different formula altogether. So there's no memory tip, because I do not want that for every formula I give you one memory tip and then I have to give you another memory tip to remember the memory tips. So I'll share memory tips only where I feel that you will get confused. So the sine and cos formula are very similar and a lot of children get confused. So that's why the memory tip. Let's do a quick recap of all the functions that we learned just now. So if we talk about the negative functions, we see that sine of minus x is minus sine x, tan of minus x is minus tan x, sec of minus x is sec x, cos of minus x is cos x, cosec of minus x is minus cos x, and cot of minus x is minus cot x. Because when we are talking about minus x, it is lying in the fourth quadrant. And in fourth quadrant only cos theta is positive, and since cos is positive, so obviously sec theta is also positive, right? So that's the memory tip. Now the next category of formula that we learned was pi by 2 minus x, pi by 2 plus x, and here again we saw that pi by 2 minus x actually means first quadrant, where all values are positive. And pi by 2 plus x actually means second quadrant, where only sine theta is positive. And since sine theta is positive, so cosec theta is also positive. Rest of the ratios are negative. So using that, we have all these formulae. Similarly, the third category that we learned was pi minus x and pi plus x. So here also very simple. So when we talk about pi minus x, we are talking about the second quadrant. When we talk about pi plus x, we are talking about the third quadrant. And finally, we learned few formula with regards to sine, cos and tan for x plus y and x minus y. Now, these are again very important formula, and we will see how do we make use of them to solve different types of questions. So this was the quick recap. Now let's start some questions. Question number 1. Find the value of sine 15 degree. Now, is there any way we can write 15 degree? Because we do not know precisely the value of sine 15. But we can always write sine 15 degree as sine 45 degree minus 30 degree. Right? So that becomes sine A minus B, which is here. So we will make use of this formula sine x minus y, which is equal to sine x sine y, which is sine x cos y minus cos x sine y. So sine 45 degree is 1 by root 2, cos 30 degree is root 3 by 2, cos 45 degree is 1 by root 2, and sine 30 degree is 1 by 2. So this becomes equal to root 3 minus 1 divided by 2 root 2. So that's the answer. Let's try one more question. Find the value of tan 13 by 12 pi. So what's the strategy that we will follow to solve this question? So 13 by 12 pi. So we want to write it in a form, either in the form of pi by 2 plus minus x or in the form of pi plus minus x. Now looking at this value 13 by 12 pi, we feel that writing it in the form of pi plus minus something would be better. So pi plus pi by 12 gives us 13 by 12 pi. Now how did I get this? So for this you will have to do a little bit of thinking. So since you have 13 by 12, so it's very obvious that on top in the numerator you have 13, which is 12 plus 1, right? So 12 plus 1 divided by 12. So this can be written as 12 plus 1 divided by 12 pi. So this is equal to 1 plus 1 by 12 pi. And that is what we have written as pi plus pi by 12. Simple, right? Now we have learnt that tan theta repeats its value after every interval of pi. So tan pi plus pi by 12 is actually equal to tan pi by 12. And what is pi by 12? Pi is 180 degree. So 180 degree by 12 is 15 degree. So this is tan 15 degree. But then we do not know the value of tan 15 as well. So how do we calculate that? Now that's pretty simple, because 15 can be written as 45 minus 30. And that is tan 45 minus 30, tan x minus y. That is this formula, tan x minus y. So tan x minus y is equal to tan x minus tan y divided by 1 plus tan x tan y, that is tan 45 degree into tan 30 degree. So tan 45 is 1 minus 1 by root 3 divided by 1 plus tan 45 is 1, tan 30 is 1 by root 3. So this is 1 by root 3, right? So this can be written as root 3 minus 1 divided by root 3 plus 1. So if you rationalize it, so you will multiply both numerator and denominator by root 3 minus 1. So on top it becomes root 3 minus 1 whole square. On bottom it is a plus b, a minus b. So a square minus b square. So this becomes equal to root 3 minus 1 whole square divided by 2. Right, now you can simplify it further. So because on top you have a minus b whole square, so you can write it a square plus b square minus 2ab and so on, and that's how you can simplify it further. So let us now move ahead with the next category of trigonometric functions. So here we are going to discuss about the 2x functions, 3x functions, and also the square functions. So we'll start with the 2x functions and we will discuss about sine, cos and tan, because if we know these three, the remaining three we automatically know. So cos 2x is cos square x minus sine square x, sine 2x is 2 sine x cos x, tan 2x is 2 tan x by 1 minus tan square x. Let us now look at the 3x functions. Sine 3x is 3 sine x minus 4 sine cube x. Cos 3x is 4 cos cube x minus 3 cos x. Tan 3x is 3 tan x minus tan cube x divided by 1 minus 3 tan 2x. And now let us talk about the square functions, which tells us that 1 plus tan square x is equal to sec square x, 1 plus cot square x is equal to cosec square x, and sine square x plus cos square x is equal to 1. So no memory tip for these formulae because they are all short and simple formulae, not very complicated. And one advice that I would like to share with you is please solve many questions based on these formulae, and also to revise these formulae you can write them on a sheet of paper and keep in front of your study table or in your room, so that you can scan through them more often, and that's how you kind of retain them in your brain for a longer time. So a quick recap of the second lot of formula, where we first learnt about the 2x functions, cos 2x, sin 2x and tan 2x, and they are very widely used while we solve questions. So please have these formula at your fingertips. Then we learnt about the next set, which was the 3x functions, sin 3x, cos 3x and tan 3x. Again, very important. So practice these formulae. And finally the last set, where we learnt about the x square, like tan square, sec square, x functions. Like 1 plus tan x square is sec square x, 1 plus cot square is cosec square, and 1 minus sine square is cos square. Now These formulae are all important, and as I said, I'm not giving memory tip because there are too many formulae and you really need to practice them. So try to solve questions as many as you can based on these formulae, and also write down all the formulae of this chapter in one sheet of paper. Keep looking at them very often. So let's solve some questions. So let's look at question number 1. Find the value of tan pi by 8. Now you must have observed that before this also we have solved many similar type of questions. So somewhere we solved how to find the value of tan 15 degree. Somewhere we solved questions like how to find the value of tan 13 by 12 pi. So here we have tan pi by 8. So how do we handle this? Okay, so for such questions where you see when you look at pi by 8, you feel that I cannot write it in the form of tan x minus b. I also cannot write it in the form of tan pi plus something or pi minus something. So what do we do? So in such cases, we can also follow this approach, which we will follow now. So let us suppose that x is equal to pi by 8. Okay? So here in this case, we have to find out the value of tan x. So that is our ultimate goal. Now very easily we see that 2x is equal to pi by 4, and we know the value of tan pi by 4 because tan pi by 4 is equal to 1. Now in trigonometry, whenever we solve a question, we always try to get some such value of theta for which we know tan theta or sin theta or cos theta. And here that theta value is pi by 4. So we know tan pi by 4 is 1. Now let's play around with this. So since we know the value of tan 2x, we have to find out tan x. So let's make use of this formula. Because in this formula, we know what is tan 2x because tan 2x is equal to 1 in this case. So here tan 2x is equal to 1 and tan x we have to find out. So let's follow the approach. So it will be tan 2x is equal to 2 tan x divided by 1 minus tan square x. So this is equal to 1 minus tan square x, because this becomes 1, is equal to 2 tan x. Or this can be written as 1 minus 2 tan x minus tan square x is equal to 0. Or this can further be written as tan square x plus 2 tan x minus 1 is equal to 0. Right? Now let us suppose that, so this looks like a quadratic equation. So let us say that tan x is equal to y. So this equation will become y square plus 2y minus 1 is equal to 0. So what will be the value of y? Y will be equal to minus b plus minus root over d, that is discriminant, which is equal to b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now you must be thinking, from where did you get such a complicated formula? Well, we have learnt about this in the lesson quadratic equations. How do we solve a quadratic equation? Using this formula, right? So if you want, you can take a quick look at the quadratic equation lesson, because I'm not getting into this detail here. So now here what is b? B is 2. So this will become minus 2 plus minus root over b square, that is 4 minus 4 into 1 into minus 1. So this is equal to 4 into 1 into minus 1 divided by 2a. So a is 1. So this will be equal to 2. Okay. So now when we solve this, what do we get? We get y is equal to minus 1 plus minus root 2. And what is y? Y is tan x. And tan x is what we were trying to calculate. So this is the answer. So did we arrive at the answer? Not really, because we found a value. So what did we found? We found that tan pi by 8, which is tan x, is equal to minus 1 plus minus root 2. But whether it will be minus 1 plus root 2 or minus 1 minus root 2, how do we know that? Based on the quadrant. What is pi by 8? So if you look at pi by 8, so pi by 8 lies in the first quadrant because it is less than pi by 2. Now since it lies in the first quadrant, in first quadrant all trigonometric functions are positive. Therefore tan pi by 8 will be equal to minus 1 plus root 2. So that's the answer. So you see, these are all small things. Many a times you will feel that, okay, I found out y, so obviously that's the answer. But there is more to it, right? So this completes the solution. Let's look at the next question. Prove that cos 4x is equal to 1 minus 8 sine square x cos square x. So we will start with the left hand side. So left hand side is cos 4x. This can be written as cos 2 into 2x. Now from the list of formula we see that cos 2x is equal to cos square x minus sine square x. So here instead of x we have 2x. So this becomes cos 2x square minus sine square 2x. Right? So this becomes cos square x minus sine square x. Now using this last formula we can write cos square 2x can be written as 1 minus sine square 2x, and minus sine square 2x was already there. So this can be written as 1 minus 2 sine square 2x. Right? So this can further be written as 1 minus 2 sine 2x whole square, because sine 2x ka whole square is actually sine square 2x. Now here the second formula, if you see, it is sine 2x is equal to 2 sine x cos x. So let's write that. It becomes 2 sine x cos x whole square. So this becomes 1 minus 2 into 2 square, that is 8 sine square x cos square x, and that is our right hand side, and that's how we have proved it. Let us now look at the next category of trigonometric functions, where we will look at product of two functions, primarily sine and cos functions, like sin x cos y or sin x sin y or cos x cos y. So functions like that. So we basically have four such trigonometric functions, as in sin x cos y, cos x sin y, sin x sin y, cos x cos y. So let us see how do we remember their formulae. So we will again use the same memory tip, the boss and the sun. So let's look at the first formula, which is cos x cos y. Now the boss, being the boss, feels that he can do everything alone and he doesn't need the sun. Therefore this is equal to cos x plus y plus cos x minus y divided by 2. There is no sine function at all. The next one is sin x sin y. Here the sun, being the poor son, feels that he cannot do anything alone, but the boss can. So here also we see that it's only the cos functions, but with the signs reversed. So here it is cos x minus y minus cos x plus y divided by 2. Now what about the rest two functions? So they are sin x cos y, cos x sin y, mix of sin and cos. So they are exactly the same as the first two functions. The only difference is that the cos is replaced by sin. That's it. So see, with this simple story, we could write the formula for all the four. So let's do a round of practice. So let us do one round of practice. Let's see if using the memory tip we are able to write all the formula correctly or not. So let's start with cos x cos y. Cos cos. Both boss functions, and boss feels that he doesn't need the sun. He is like good enough alone, right? So therefore here we will have both cos functions, cos x plus y and cos x minus y divided by 2. So that's our first formula. The second one is sin x sin y. So here there is no boss, only the sun. Now the sun, being less confident, he feels that he will not be able to do things alone, and the boss will be able to do anything on his behalf. Right? So boss will be able to manage things better. So here also it will be cos functions, just that the signs will get reversed. So it will be x minus y minus cos x plus y divided by 2. Now what about sin x cos y, when the sine function is also there and the cos function is also there, and similarly cos x sin y. Now in these two cases it will exactly be the same as the first two cases, just that the cos will be replaced by sine. So this will become sin x plus y plus sin x minus y divided by 2, and this one will become sin x minus sin x minus y divided by 2. So in this fashion we see that we are able to write all the four formulae correctly. Now we have reached at the next category where we are going to talk about sum or difference of cos sine functions. For example, cos x plus cos y, cos x minus cos y, sin x plus sin y, sin x minus sin y. So here also we will apply the same memory trick story, that is the boss and the son. So let's start with the first one, which is cos x plus cos y. Since both are cos functions, both are boss, they do not need the son at all. So the formula is 2 cos x plus y by 2 cos x minus y by 2. Another interesting thing that you can notice, whenever in these kind of formulae on the left hand side you have sum or difference of cos sine functions, on the right hand side you always have product. For example, in this case, on the left hand side you have sum of two cos functions. Therefore, on the right hand side what do you have? Product of two cos functions, right? Now let's move on to the next one, that is cos x minus cos y. Now this minus sign always indicates that the two people went against each other, or they have fought, or they kind of ignore each other. Now when the two bosses, they fight, what happens? In the result, we do not see a boss at all. We just see the son. And that's what is happening here. So therefore here cos x minus cos y is 2 sin x plus y by 2 sin x minus y by 2. Moving on to the third one, that is sin x plus sin y. Now as I have already mentioned that son always wants to be with the boss. Right? That's why here we have both sine and cos function. 2 sin x plus y by 2 cos x minus y by 2. What about sin x minus sin y? Exactly the same as previous formula, just that the signs got reversed. What about a round of practice of these four formulae? So let's do one round of practice. The first formula is cos x plus cos y. Boss functions together, so they do not need a son. Therefore, we will have two cos functions here, cos x plus y by 2 and cos x minus y by 2. This entire thing multiplied by 2. Cos x minus cos y. What happens if there are two bosses and the bosses are like against each other? Cos x minus cos y. So in that case, this entire thing, the output doesn't have anything from the boss and it only has things from the son. So here you will have minus 2 sin x plus y by 2 into sin x minus y by 2. Now what about a situation when it is sin x plus sin y? Now whenever two sine functions, that is two son, are coming together, they always feel that they should be with the boss. They always want to be with the boss. Therefore in this case it will be 2 sin x plus y by 2 into cos x minus y by 2. And similarly sin x minus sin y, it will be exactly the same as sin x plus sin y, just that the functions will get reversed, as in it will be 2 cos x plus y by 2 sin x minus y by 2. So in this fashion, we see that we are able to write down all the trigonometric functions related to sin x and cos x correctly using our memory tip. So let's try out a few questions again. We have to prove that cos pi by 4 plus x plus cos pi by 4 minus x is equal to root 2 cos x. Okay, so let's get started with the left hand side. So on the left hand side, we see that we have it in the form of cos x plus cos y, right? So where x is this entire thing and y is again this entire thing. So which formula will we use? We will use this formula, cos x plus cos y. So this becomes equal to 2 cos a plus x plus y by 2. That is 2 cos x plus y by 2 into cos x minus y by 2. So here plus x minus x will get cancelled, pi by 4 minus pi by 4 will get cancelled. So this becomes 2 cos 2 into pi by 4 will become pi by 2 divided by 2. So that is pi by 4. 2 cos pi by 4 into cos 2x by 2, that is cos x. So 2 cos pi by 4 into cos x. So what is cos pi by 4? So cos pi by 4 is equal to 1 by root 2. So this becomes 2 into 1 by root 2 into cos x. So this is equal to root 2 cos x, which is what we have on the right hand side, and that's how we have proved it. So let's look at question number 5. Prove that cos 7x plus cos 5x divided by sin 7x minus sin 5x is equal to cot x. So here also we see that if we start with left hand side, what do we have on the numerator? We have in the form of cos x plus cos y. So cos x plus cos y will be 2 cos a plus b by 2, that is 7x plus 5x by 2, into cos a minus b by 2, that is 7x minus 5x by 2, divided by, let's focus on the denominator, which is in the form of sin x minus sin y. So these are very straightforward, just that you should know the formula correctly, and that is where the memory tip will help. So this will be 2 cos a plus b by 2 into sin a minus b by 2. So this becomes equal to, so here 2 and 2 will get cancelled. So this becomes cos 12x by 2, that is 6x. Here it becomes cos x divided by cos 6x again and sin x. So cos 6x will get cancelled. Cos theta by sin theta is cot theta, that is cot x, which is what we have on the right hand side, and that's how we have proved it. Great. So we kind of understood the different forms of trigonometric functions. So now it's turn for trigonometric equations. Yes. So we have learned about linear equations, quadratic equations, cubic equations. So in a similar way, we have something called trigonometric equations. Equations that involve trigonometric functions. They are called trigonometric equations. Now, whenever we talk about equations, the next question that comes to our mind is how do we solve that equation? For example, how do we solve a quadratic equation in a variable? We find out the value of the variable. In a similar way, how do we solve a trigonometric equation? So, any trigonometric equation will have two types of solution. One is a principal solution, the other one is a general solution. What's principal? The word principal means special, specific. For example, in your school, your principal sir or ma'am is special, right? So they have their own importance. They are very specific, right? Similarly, when we talk about principal solutions, they are very specific values. So these values should lie between 0 to 2 pi. So that is called a principal solution. Now, when it comes to a general solution, that is kind of general for everyone. Like we already have noticed that when we look at these trigonometric functions, whether it is sin theta, cos theta or tan theta, they keep repeating their values after a certain interval of time. So when we tell a general solution for an equation, that actually means that for any n value of theta, this solution will hold true. So that's a general solution. Now, what is the trickiest part here? Solving a trigonometric equation, yes, and that too, finding the principal solution is relatively easy because it is about finding one specific value. But how do I find a general solution? So we will look at three simple theorems for sin theta, cos theta and tan theta, and once you know these three theorems, trust me, you will be able to find out the general solution of any trigonometric equation. So let's take a look. Theorem number 1. It states that if there are two real numbers x and y such that sin x is equal to sin y, that actually implies a relationship between x and y, and that relationship is x is equal to n pi plus minus 1 to the power n into y. That means, let us suppose that if you have a relation like this, sin x is equal to, let's say, sin pi by 6. That actually means that x is equal to n pi plus minus 1 to the power n into pi by 6. That becomes the general solution, right? Similarly, we have theorem 2 for cos function. So which says that if cos x is equal to cos y, that actually means x is equal to 2n pi plus minus y. That means, again, in a similar way, if cos x is equal to, say, cos pi by 3, then x is equal to, that means x is equal to 2n pi plus minus pi by 3. So that becomes the general solution. And finally, the third theorem is for tan function, which states that if tan x is equal to tan y, then x is equal to n pi plus y. But there is one extra condition here, that x and y are not odd multiple of pi by 2. Why? Because odd multiple of pi by 2, for odd multiples of pi by 2, tan theta is equal to 0. Right? So accept those values. If tan x is equal to tan y, that means x is equal to n pi plus y. Now you must remember these three theorems, because without them you will not be able to find out general solutions of trigonometric equations. So let us try out a question. So let us suppose we try to find out the principal and general solutions of the equation sin x is equal to 1 by 2 and cos y is equal to 1 by 2. So let us first start with sin x is equal to 1 by 2. So let us first focus on the principal solution, that is the specific solution. What is 1 by 2? Sin 30 degree. Right? So we can say that x is equal to 30 degree, which is pi by 6, is the principal solution. Okay, what will be the general solution? Now for general solution, we know that if sin x is equal to sin pi by 6, so here the value of y is pi by 6, then we know that x is equal to n pi plus minus 1 to the power n into y, that is pi by 6. So that becomes the general solution. Now let's look at the second equation that we have, that is cos y is equal to 1 by 2. And what is the value of cos y? I mean cos how much is 1 by 2? Cos 60 degree. So we can say that y is equal to 60 degree, that is pi by 3. So that's the principal solution. And what about the general solution? Now here, since we see that sin y is equal to sin pi by 3, cos y is equal to cos pi by 3. Therefore, we can say that y is equal to 2n pi plus minus pi by 3. And that becomes the general solution. So it's very simple, just that you should know all the three theorems, then you can find out the general solution of any equation. I hope you found this video on class 11th maths trigonometric functions useful. So my advice to you would be to solve more and more questions. In fact, if you are interested in looking at a detailed video series, we have shared the link in the description section. You can feel free to take a look. If you are interested in watching the same video in Hindi, we have also shared the link in the description section, so please take a look. So I will see you all very soon with a new topic, with a new video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.